Hi, welcome to ThunderNerds. I'm Brian Hinton.
I'm Sarah Vestal.
And I'm Frederick Philip von Weiss, and thank you so much for consuming the ThunderNerds, a conversation with the people behind the technology that love what they do.
And do tech good.
Yeah, and we're doing tech good here at Devfest Florida 2019. Brian, where are we
I
at?
think we're in Orlando, Florida at somewhere. Where are we?
Oviedo Mall.
She's questioning it now.
Now I'm
Someone told
questioning
her.
how we pronounce this thing, so I don't know. I would say Oviedo.
I like
Okay.
that. I think that's about right.
We'll go
yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
We've been interviewing most to all the speakers here today, and we're with another presenter. We're with Cassidy. Man, I said your name wrong.
You can just say Cass. Just cut out the.
Would you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Cass Swallow from Salt Lake City, Utah.
Very nice to meet you. So you are from Salt Lake City, Utah. So what are you doing here?
So I run our GDG group out in Salt Lake.
Oh,
That's
So
right,
I know a lot of the organizers. Hendrix I've known for a long time. Ava I've known for a long time. And I've heard good things about Florida, and especially their Devfest. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And so I, wanted to get more speaking done as a potential career pathway into something like a DevRel kind of position in the future, and thought this was a good place to at least apply. And then I was excited when they accepted my speech, and so I flew out here for the weekend to talk to everybody.
Now, is there like a GDG like social group or something online somewhere that kind of connects everyone?
Yeah, we have lots of them actually,
Yeah.
because every new
Well, and it
Google
connects
leader.
everyone.
Yeah, we have like a Hangout chat and a Slack
Okay.
chat, and
Well, that's cool.
there's like this Meetup Google Plus clone that they're not really finished with yet, that we don't use, but one day we'll probably use that.
That's so interesting. So, Cass, what do you do in a day-to-day? What's your actual job? What's your role?
Yeah, so I work at a company called Pluralsight, and I work on their Android
Sounds
team.
familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully it sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
That we have a few developers here in Florida from when Pluralsight and Code School joined forces.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we're big fans of the Orlando community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just work on the Android app and hopefully help developers learn to do new things from Pluralsight.
So what does that look like on your day-to-day? That sounds very interesting.
Right now we're kind of in a, I'm not gonna say lazy, but we're kind of switching gears. We've had all of our product people that used to be on our team have since graduated to roles, and so our designer is now advocating for the entire company instead of just for our team. And our product person is teaching all the product people how to be excellent at talking to users, finding customer problems, and translating that into easily achievable technical work. And so we had a really great momentum of just learning what our customers needed and then turning that into features in our apps. Then the summer came and they both got promoted. And so now we're kind of discovering on ourselves, like we've spent a little while just fixing technical bugs, improving our performance, and trying to make the apps that we build really solid, and hiring new people. And that's kind of where we're at now.
So are you developing in Kotlin, Flutter? What are you all doing?
Yes, so our Android team is all Kotlin now. We've been doing Kotlin for about a year. We really like it. Personally, I'm pretty impressed by Flutter. Mostly impressed by the community.
Yeah.
Like it just seems like it's not going away, which we all kind of expected it to. Another cross-platform mobile solution, we expected, okay, here it'll be gone tomorrow. But yeah, no, that's we've done like some Hack Day projects on Flutter, and I like the technology a lot. But day to day is just Kotlin and Android, and trying to follow Google's moving target of what's best in Android. They change that a lot. So.
Yeah, a lot of it is
Exciting now.
Yeah.
And that's why I stay with mobile. It's fun to have that best practice that keeps hopefully
Pushing you.
keeps pushing you, keeps making it better for the users of the platform as well.
And that's why it changes. Yes, you have to keep up with what is happening, but it's for a reason. There's an evolution.
Right.
Yeah.
So what'd you talk about today?
So today I talked about pair programming, which is something that I had never really done before. And then when I joined Pluralsight, it's a long-standing tradition of your pair programming. There's a lot of teams that mob program. So you've got 3 or 4 or 5 developers, team members, working on a single problem on 2 TV screens. And so I think just my mindset has been changed by that so much over the past couple of years that I wanted to let other people know about it. And I was expecting a lot of people to have concerns and problems, maybe even some myths, I guess, around it that I hope I could clear those up. And today I was really impressed with all the questions people had.
Such as?
Oh, I should have brought the list. A lot of them wanted tips, like how do you, I think from the questioner's perspective, I am interested in pair programming. How do I convince my teammate or my company to, have two devs working on the same thing at the same time? So one of the things that I tried to really hopefully make the case of is that the benefits of pair programming just so much outweigh the costs. Studies have found that pair programming increases code quality. It makes an easier, more maintainable design. It will actually lead to improved job satisfaction, improved personal communication, all those kinds of things. And that the cost isn't actually like 100% because you have two people. It's really only 15%, which is great. And you're also building the feature in less time than it would take if a single person was doing it alone.
Yeah, and less likely to have problems too, because you have more than one person.
Right, exactly. And because there's less problems from the beginning, there's less support tickets getting created, less time getting it sent back from QA to dev or whatever.
Go down. Okay, I understand.
Go in the right way.
What are some best practices for pair programming?
Some best practices. So I was surprised at how many people hadn't heard of just setting a timer. I think that typically when you pair program, if you're not doing it very structured, you get into the mode where the senior developer is going to just start hacking away, and the junior developer is going to kind of phase out and I'll just check Slack really quick, and then it's not really pair programming at that point.
Yeah.
And so having a timer set just forces that switching function to happen. So that's the first thing that people aren't doing, but they want to pair program. Set a timer for 10, 15 minutes, and then you pass the keyboard or you take your hands off the keyboard when that timer dings, and then you get to practice the other side of it, and try walking your pair through the problem that you're trying to solve. That's probably the first and biggest difference you can make if you tried pairing but it hasn't been successful.
How do you explain to people that haven't really grasped this concept, the value? Like, what's the first thing that you tell them?
I think the first thing that I say is just that I personally have seen better code, just constant better code. The places that I've worked with, we wrote Android apps there too, and had a fun team. We all got along well, but most of our time was fixing bugs, or we were ignoring bugs to add new features, but we knew that our apps weren't that great because there were some bugs in them. And so I haven't had that experience since joining a team that's built the entire application through pair programming. We do have bugs that come up every now and then. Sure. By and large, it's pretty smooth sailing. We're making the correct design decisions up front before we write the code because we're talking about it. And again, it's super easy to maintain the code because two people have already read it. And that's the hardest part about code is, it's easy to write the code, but you're going to spend more time reading it. And so if two people can read it and understand it, it's easier that way. And then when other people come along the lines later, it's going to be easier for them to read it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there any negatives at all to pair programming?
I think the negatives, you have to understand that there is an upfront cost. You are paying, two people. But again, that actual cost is more like 15% instead of a full 100%. I also think that there's the mindset that needs to shift to try and focus on benefiting the user and not so much just focusing on why am I doing it this way, or creating interpersonal disagreements. So you've got to kind of give yourself some time and trust to build that skill and not expect to be a great pair programmer just the day that you try it.
And you have that relationship with the person you're pair programming. You need to have that connection that you can work like that.
And that becomes very important. You really have to have a very strict, no jerks policy on the team.
No jerks.
Because
I like that.
It
well worded.
Really stands out when someone isn't following that rule. It just ruins the whole team and ruins the code actually.
So how long have you been developing this talk? Is this something that's been working for a while on? Did you tweak it this morning? I'd like to know a little bit behind the scenes of what it was like building it.
So I've been working on it for a couple months. I think I was accepted as a speaker. I don't remember the day, but I feel like it's been at least a couple months. And so I kind of fleshed out the outline of what I wanted to talk about. And just since then, I've just kind of narrowed it down. Instead of diving into like all the different styles, like, oh, this is how you do the well and strong style programming. This is how you do, I can't even think of another style, but this is how you do ping pong pairing. I didn't really focus too much on that. I feel like there's plenty of blog articles people can use. So I wanted to just focus on my experience, and then kind of that Q&A part of what are the best practices? How do I get better at this? How do I, benefit from this when everything I've heard, everything I think about it is, confusing, stressful, all that stuff. I don't know that I think I made one change this morning.
I like that.
But there was one bullet point that just like was really confusing in my head. But I thought of like after sleeping on it, I think maybe I actually heard somebody today say like the phrase that I wanted to use. And so I was like, oh, and then I pulled out my laptop in the middle of the session and then fixed it.
That's funny.
That's great. I love
serendipity.
Yeah, it worked out well, and that's so it's important to go to the sessions even when you're speaking, because it's kind of easy to just bug off. And
Have you pulled anything interesting from any of the sessions? Anything that you're like, you know what, that's a great tip.
Yeah, I was kind of not expecting to learn a lot from like the Android sessions. Not that I'm a super Android programmer, but I feel like my team is very on top of things, and so we've got a pretty up-to-date app. But I went to the What's New in Android 10, and I felt like he had 4 or 5 main points that he covered. And I was like, every single one of those, we need to do something on. Like I was pulling out our production app. Like, oh, you're right. That padding's off. Like you guys changed the system, and now we've got to, fill that in. And I didn't know that before. So that talk was really good, and he's got some good tips on how to do that. You have the code right there, so I need to go find that speech. And
wow, that's so cool. Yeah.
And what's your experience been like at this Devfest? Have you enjoyed everything and just in general, as a speaker?
Yeah, no, it's been really well done, and I think I'm coming from the perspective of having organized conferences, and even specifically Devfests. I know a lot of the work that goes into this. I know where they're going above and beyond versus just what's phoning it in. And I'm really blown away. It's I've talked to a lot of people about like the space and the Neor studios, and I've talked to them about just how fortunate it was. Like they're so excited to have a conference here. It works great for the mall. The Devfest organizers just have a partnership with the facilities basically, and that's rare. It's hard to get something where everyone's on the same team instead of, oh, you guys are here on a Saturday. I don't want to be here. My boss made me because we like have a couple of jobs open that somebody has to promote. And so just having everybody on the same team, all working for the same goal is it's a really powerful experience. And I'm hoping to find some way to replicate this back home, but it's pretty unique out here. So
this is the first time I've done a conference at a mall.
Oh yeah,
like
I've never even heard of
I
one
never
at a mall.
even thought about it, but it makes so much sense to me now. It's kind of crazy.
I like it. The only complaint I have is the distance between the two venues, and that's more from our perspective because we're trying to find you all.
Yeah, we're trying to find people.
But on the whole, I think it's pretty amazing. Like just the fact that the food court, there's food provided, which is amazing. But maybe I want something else, and there's tons of options here. And
from an attendee perspective,
I want to take a break. I'll go into Barnes and Noble. I imagine that they're getting traffic too, and it's great. I like it a lot.
And also just people coming in off the street and like, oh, what is this? What's
true.
going on here? And like learning about the tech community here. You're not going to get that at a hotel where you're all in like the swan room.
The swan room. It always is something like that.
It is like, always some weird, boring room with really bad decor.
Yeah, that's a great point because every time that we've walked back and forth, I've seen a group of people looking in going, what's that?
What is that?
And you might get somebody that's, I am interested in that. Tell me more. What's going on here? What is this about? So that's so neat.
Well, when I was speaking on the other side of this wall, like I would see like crowds of people come in and slow down and kind of like come in a little bit and kind of listen and look around, like look for some information. And I see some organizers go talk to them for a minute and they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And keep going. So I think it's, I think as a resident here, it'd be really exciting to see, new, tech jobs and skills and programmers being in the area and working hard on a Saturday. That'd be encouraging, and the kids maybe see it and
exactly.
Yeah. And we spoke to an attendee earlier, Helene. Is that right?
Pauline.
And she came to I think it was last year's, and she went to a UX boot camp because she got inspired by coming to the event.
Wow, that's awesome.
So yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's great that we have events like these. So. Yeah. So what's it like running yours up there? Like what was that experience like?
So our Devfest was a couple months ago. Google tried to encourage us to have it during September by offering more money. And so we're like, okay, sure. But now after seeing how well this one's been done, I wish we would have waited and taken our time to get some of these things,
it's a learning process.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because we had a lot of good speakers, but unfortunately, some of them were only confirmed, 2 weeks before the event or even the week of, because we had a couple people drop out.
Yeah.
Like some really well-known names that live in Utah, we didn't have any time to advertise their names. And so if we had known, if we'd still confirmed them, the third or second week in September, but then it wasn't until November that people were going to be showing up, I think a lot more people would have been able to turn out to hear from, Ken C. Dodds and Aaron Frost and the well-known names that live in our backyard. So.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay.
Lessons learned.
Yeah. Well, how can people learn more about first off your version of the Devfest up there? Up there, over there?
Yeah.
Up and over.
Up and over.
Out there.
Yeah. What's the URL for that?
That's a great question.
Thanks.
We had a Bitly link. And I memorized it for 3 months. We'll
put it.
Search for it, I would say.
We'll put it in the show notes here. Yeah, and how can people find out more about you? You have a website, Twitter?
I don't have a website. I'm at CantoCass on Twitter, and that's I think the only social media that I have. I do have a LinkedIn.
Okay.
That's true.
Because
But I don't
we heard earlier that you have to have a
the
LinkedIn.
handle, like the one-word handle to
Yeah.
get to LinkedIn.
Just making sure.
That's just my name. So
Excellent.
yeah, that's how you find me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Yeah.
It was great talking with you.
Thanks everybody for watching. We'll have a lot more coming up. Take care.